we were about to go in lockdown. No bigger conviction than for M13 to close on an investment when the world was falling apart. International comes with so much hair. There's duties, taxes, the regulatory compliance. Don't get me started on returns, entrepreneur dream, tons of complexity, lots of fragmented options. This is my time.
Welcome to the Flywheel, a new series from M13. We'll share conversations with founders building through major technology and market shifts, from AI and global commerce to changing consumer behavior and infrastructure. At M13, we invest early in founders building at structural inflection points, moments when technology, markets, and human behavior are changing all at once. This series is about what it looks like to build through those moments, the pressure, the uncertainty, the turning points that define company trajectories. If you're a founder, operator, investor, or builder navigating change, subscribe to our channel. We'll be sharing real conversations and practical insights from people scaling companies in real time. Our first conversation is with Alex Yancher, founder and CEO of Passport, the global commerce platform helping brands scale internationally across shipping, logistics, duties, compliance, and growth. We taped our conversation just a month before Globally acquired Passport. You'll hear Alex share lessons on building through COVID, navigating global trade disruption, scaling operationally complex businesses, and where AI is reshaping logistics and commerce. Let's get into it.
I do want to start with the beginning of the Passport M13 relationship.
Sure.
So we've known each other almost exactly 6 years.
Yeah.
And I know that because our initial investment in Passport was in March of 2020.
That's right.
So that was obviously the most important thing happening at your company that month. What was the second most important thing happening in March of 2020 in the world of Passport?
Yeah, well, it was COVID. We were about to go in lockdown. I had a term sheet. We were going to close literally the week that we went in lockdown. And, investors talk about conviction. No bigger conviction than for M13 to close on an investment when the world was falling apart. Obviously, COVID was incredible for my business. We're in ecommerce. When it happened, when we had the term sheet and COVID first happened, I thought, I'm the luckiest entrepreneur in the world. 6 months later, valuations were 5x higher than they were. I thought maybe I'm not the luckiest person in the world, second luckiest. But I remember
better to be lucky than good.
Yeah,
sometimes, on timing.
But I remember feeling immense gratitude and thinking that some VCs would have taken this opportunity to retrade, to pull the term sheet, to do what some dirty things that some VCs do, but M13 didn't, and this is early in the history of M13 as well. So very, very grateful. It built a lot of trust, and that trust has carried through a great relationship, I think, with M13 so far.
Well, thank you. If you haven't got a chance to talk to Alex, incredible, very complex business that he's built at Passport. Really, at the crux of it, Passport helps brands go international. And that's everything from shipping and logistics to customer service to duties and tax calculation to now marketing, which they're leaning into. So I love getting into founders' motivations. Back in 2017 is when you started?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give us the motivation. Why start an international shipping business that turned into much more than that?
Yeah, so before starting Passport, I had another startup called Lynx, which was a personal shopping service that helped people abroad buy products from the US. And that was an asset-based company. We had a physical, actual warehouse in Delaware. Reason Delaware, I'm from San Francisco, but the reason Delaware is one of the only tax-free states in the US. So we would buy things. We wouldn't want our customers to have to pay taxes. So you do what you need to do to win. So we opened up a warehouse in Delaware, and it was my job to figure out how to ship products all over the world. And big products like surfboards and skis, and small expensive products like diamond rings, and things that you ingest like nutraceuticals, and all of those things it was so complicated. And I realized in running that company that international comes with so much hair. There's duties, taxes, the regulatory compliance. Don't get me started on returns. That's a whole other beast of a problem to solve for international. And this was when Shopify was around at this point, but it was still a relatively small company. And I had the insight that two things are going to happen. One is that direct to consumer is booming. It's obviously booming. Shopify's relatively small base, but it was growing, 2x year over year. This is like entrepreneurship as a service. So I, saw that as a big thing. And I knew that the world is more than just the United States, right? The world is 20 times bigger than the United States. English speaking part of the world is, 5 times bigger than the United States. Why leave all that money on the table? But for an entrepreneur to be able to get that business, they're going to have to solve some complexity. And I saw, this is basically like entrepreneur dream. Tons of complexity, lots of fragmented options. This is my time. So,
well, we're glad you did.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to more macro. And 2025 was the year that trade dominated the news cycle.
Yep.
Tariffs, de minimis, geopolitical tensions around trade. A year now after Liberation Day,
Yep.
Can you just zoom out for us? Help us understand the state of global trade. What's changed? What's remained the same?
Yeah. 1 year anniversary of Liberation Day. Happy anniversary, everybody. So I'll talk about the things that the big things that changed, and I'll talk about a couple of things that people thought might change but didn't. The things that are kind of stayed the same. So one big thing that changed is supply chains became politicized in a way that the world, or at least the United States, hadn't really seen before, especially tariffs and duties. It really became political. It really hit me, this politicization really hit me when Trump sent a Truth Social about how India was going to get a duty because, like an extra 50%, so a big number, 50% duty, because they were buying Russian oil. So he was using tariffs and duties as a foreign policy stick in a way in which other administrations never used it before. And now, at least for this administration, certainly for potentially future MAGA ones, we'll see what happens if there's a Democrat in place. Hard to say, but I think that risk, that politicization risk, is on the table now for supply chains in a way it wasn't before. So that's one big thing. The other big thing is, China specifically had a bullseye on it for this administration in terms of wanting to lower the deficit. We're in in some kind of war with China, trade war, one might say, other types of war. And the percentage of imports that came from China pre-Liberation Day was about 13-15%, something in that ballpark, okay? After Liberation Day, now it's about 9%. And we've cut our deficit with China in half. So major tectonic shifts in global trade. We're really decoupling from China. Now, the thing that didn't change is people thought there's going to be some reshoring. That was another big policy for the administration, wanting to bring back manufacturing, nearshoring, all of that. That hasn't really happened. So domestic manufacturing, first of all, it takes many years. So maybe it will happen in the future, and I see, maybe some signs in the tea leaves of entrepreneurs wanting to bring manufacturing back. But it's more anecdotal. It's not really present in the data yet in terms of manufacturing. Maybe robotics changes it. Hard to say, but that really hasn't changed yet. It's been more of a reshuffling. So the amount of imports from Vietnam way up. The amount of imports from Mexico way up. China way down. You know what other country is way down? Our other big enemy, Canada. The imports from Canada are way down. So those are I'd say the big changes. The other thing that hasn't really happened that people thought was going to be a big thing after Liberation Day was inflation. I don't know if you remember the doom and gloom headlines around the tariffs going up. And inflation, I read an article recently about this. There is some inflation from tariffs, but it's in the very low single digits. So like we're talking 1%, 1 to 5%, something in that ballpark. Because there were some knock-on effects that I guess economists didn't really include in the analysis. For example, foreign currencies fell against the US dollar. So while Vietnam got a 25% tariff, the Vietnamese currency dropped 20% against the US dollar, making their goods cheaper, thereby, canceling out some of the impact of what the tariffs were. So we didn't really see a huge increase in inflation the way a lot of pundits expected.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, we talked a little bit about before, leaning into complex industries, friction-filled industries. International trade is as friction-filled as it gets, and it's no wonder in that year, 2025, where most people thinking that's a terrible year for international shipping business, you guys had your best year in many, many years. And you were at the center of all these complexities, solving these for your customers, which really, was a big takeaway for me for 2025. Okay, everyone has heard about shipping and they want to hear about AI, obviously. So let's move into that topic. AI has now transitioned from targeting software type of businesses now towards services businesses. And you don't get more services heavy than logistics and shipping. I'm going to ask a question in a second. I want to give this guy actually a lot of credit. He talked about Lynx being an asset-based company.
Yep.
When we invested in Passport, it was an asset-light company. And this was 2020. And the whole world was talking about asset-light models. You don't want to invest in asset-heavy models. Asset-light software business is the way to go. A couple years later, Alex approached the board wanting to acquire an asset-based acquisition target. And everyone was like, wait a second. You told us this was going to be an asset-light business model. But kind of what Nami was talking about, having a vision of the future, what we were talking about earlier, a blurry vision of the future. You knew in your bones that in order to deliver the customer experience you needed, you had to acquire this logistics provider, because right now you were one layer too removed and you didn't have control. And so we, as the board agreed, like Alex has experience here, and this is where deep domain expertise comes in. And I do credit that acquisition for laying the foundation for what you guys are building today. So it was as contrarian as it gets in the environment of 2020, and that was a really, really good call. As we transition from software to services, how does AI play in the world of international trade? And rather now we're in the future, how is this going to look going forward?
Yeah. So let's take a step back. Again, my vision from the beginning of Passport, and even something that I had experience in with Lynx, is that there's something special about being vertically integrated with the physical logistics of what you're doing. And I saw it firsthand in building Lynx, and I'm seeing it firsthand in building Passport. We get a package and we have control of the customs brokerage relationship, for example, and we're able to realize, hey, this says, gift box, spring gift box, and we know that that's going to get caught by the customs broker. So we go in and we tell the brand, we got to change something in your software. We got to change the description that you're passing along to us. And we have that full circle of data and information, and we're able to very uniquely in the market bring an incredible experience to a customer, catch things before they happen, all of that kind of stuff. And the only way you can do that is if you really control this end to end. It's very difficult, it's very complicated, but I'm very grateful that that we're in a position now to have AI be a tailwind versus a headwind, because the AI is not going to replace, my warehouse worker, at least not yet, maybe in the future with robotics or whatever, and we're going to be, first in line for that. So let me break down what we do at Passport in a couple of different categories, because the role of AI is going to be a little bit different based on the category that we're talking about. So I'll start with the physical logistics of what we do. So we not our own trucks, but we have like a truck dispatch person. She corresponds with brands and 3PLs and warehouses, and she sends a truck. It's going to be like Bob's Trucking or something like that, just to paint that picture, and then it goes into our warehouse. We consolidate packages from really at this point 1,000 different warehouses, and then we ship it out to 150 different countries, right? And along that journey, there's hundreds of microprocesses that are very manual and labor intensive. And we're going to be the first company in our industry that's automating all of it. So we already see this in our numbers, 1-2% margin accretion, but this is like month 7 of us, handling what we're doing with AI agents. And we're going, the really exciting thing about what we're doing is we started to knock out little efficiencies, one a week, maybe now it's 2 week, and now I have a list of things that we knock out every Friday, and the list is like I have to scroll, it's so big it doesn't fit on one page. We're on like 37 things that we knocked out, like little things, little improvements, little QAs that we weren't able to do before because it was just so manual. Like we weren't gonna QA Qatar shipping, it's just too much. And every once in a while there would be an issue with Qatar shipping, and we would have missed it, right? And now we have an AI agent every evening checking every single permutation, every single customer, every single country, and it's gonna give us a cost advantage over our competitors for, call it 2 to 3 years. Maybe I'm giving them some credit, maybe it's gonna be 4 to 5 years, but let's say a couple of 2 to 3 years, we're gonna have a cost structure advantage, and it's our choice what we do with it. We can use that money for marketing and bring in more customers. We can use that money for bringing down costs and winning more market share, but just bringing down the prices for our customers. So there's so much that we can do on the cost structure side of things, on the NPS, customer experience side of things, that we just weren't, it was only a dream for us before. So now that we're able to do it with agents, it's just an incredible time for us on the logistics side of things. On the other part of, we have 3 pieces. The other part of our business is duty and tax collection, duty and tax calculation, and all of that. Another really beautiful thing about our business is it's not rooted in software, to be honest. Even before AI, it wasn't rooted in software. It's more, the value that we're bringing is more in these local integrations that we have and the local relationships that we have with UK HMRC, for example. We have entities in 14 countries. That is the kind of thing that AI cannot replicate. And it's a moat for us in a regulatory compliance standpoint, right? Some of the things that we did on the fringes, like calculating duty and tax, commoditized. That was never going to be the value point that we bring. We offered that for free anyways, but that's like super commoditized now. Just calculating duty and taxes, that's not a big deal. And the other part of the business that you alluded to, we call it growth services, growth advisory, where we're helping brands actually increase sales and grow. The kind of expertise that we have, we've had over $1 billion worth of sales already hit our platform, and we know what drives conversion rates across 150 different countries. For example, if a brand wanted to juice sales, what should they do in Canada? What should they do? Should they lower prices by 10%, or should they offer free shipping? To their margin, it's the same thing. So you're going from offering shipping for $5 or having your product sold for $70. It's essentially the same thing from a margin standpoint if I'm going to offer shipping for free or if I'm going to start offering my good at $65. It ends up being the same. But we have the data to tell you which one is going to give you a higher conversion rate. Okay? And there's so many little nodes across a brand's decision points. Even on TikTok, we could tell them some great advice. And we have proprietary data that we're using, running it through our simulators with LLM technology underneath it to recommend to brands what to do, okay? Running Facebook ads, all of that's getting commoditized, and that's great for us because we want our brands to find success internationally and leverage all the AI tools that are out there that are working side by side with our solution.
Very helpful. Let's talk about the trajectory of Passport and your, to take the term, your Chinese bamboo moment. Where was that for Passport? Did you feel like where you had been building the foundation, then all of a sudden the growth just started to come?
Yeah, so we've had a couple of big accelerants. One that you alluded to when we started, the vision was always vertically integrate, and have physical warehouses. But when you're starting and you have finite number of dollars, you have a chicken and egg problem. Because if we were to get a warehouse, we would have burned through all of our VC money. Okay. All right. So you can't do that. So what do? You have to basically white label somebody, right? And live with the consequences of having a white label under the hood. So we had the white label. They were great as a white label, but it was just like, you couldn't get the white label partner to scan in packages so that we had data on the first mile transit. You couldn't get this partner to work on weekends. Sometimes some of our customers would have a big drop, and yeah, weekend work was required. Nobody cares about my business like I do. We were just another customer for this white label partner, and we kind of had to live with it. And we had low NPS. We had a lot of churn, but we had to live through it, And we had a huge accelerant when we bought this company, Access Worldwide. The CEO of that company became our chief commercial officer and the architect of our network. He worked on building up 3 warehouses. Now we have a warehouse in LA, in New York, in Chicago, right? And as soon as we were ready, it was like one of those Indiana Jones moment, things where like the sand, if you lift up the thing, the spikes are going to fall, so you have to like replace it with sand, so there's no activation. So we basically had to move off our white label partner, move all of our volume to our own network, and then you can see everything going up to the right. So you saw our NPS going up to the right. The churn dropped, the customer experience, the NPS was incredible. And as soon as that happened, the word of mouth went up, and our sales went up, our NRR went up, and really like the daily distractions of dealing with issues went down in the company, and we were able to focus on growth. That was one big catapult for us. And the other one was we became, to a certain extent, a victim of our own success, meaning some of our brands became so big, so fast, that they decided to start doing what we call in-country. So we started off as cross-border. We still do. That's still maybe like 70% of our business. But some of our brands became so big that they decided to open up a warehouse locally in the UK. That's unfortunate for us because we're a cross-border shipping provider. But when we saw that happening, and one of our customers did it, we saw that in our numbers, we basically jumped headlong into that business, and we said, you know what? Why don't we be the company, even at the expense of some cannibalization, why don't we be the company that starts helping these fast growers set up local fulfillment in those countries? And as soon as we did it, in-country grew from like 3% of our business to now it's about 30% of our business. We work with some of the largest brands like HexClad, Ridge Wallets, and we help them basically set up local operations.
Last question, just talking about M13 as a partner. Tell me about anything that we've helped out with, or how it's been partnering with us over the years.
Yeah, so it's been an incredible partnership. It started off from that trying period where the relationship got tested, and I thought that was a really great showing by M13. Built a lot of trust with me. And since then, I'll just give a couple of anecdotes that I think are salient. So one is M13 helped bring in, I'd say, either our largest account or like our second largest account, a company called FabFitFun, subscription box company. Courtney was on it. Please say hi to Courtney Carter. I know he's not here right now, but Courtney was not, it wasn't like, let me introduce you and then you take it from here kind of thing. This guy, Courtney, he would he would text me every other week about a back channel that he had with a decision maker. He and I would spend an hour on the phone strategizing how to get to a different decision maker because it's a complicated organization and there's different buyers involved with kind of a sale, to us. Then nothing would happen for 6 months because, we couldn't hit the price target. And I said, Courtney, I'm ready to go back. Our prices are lower. We went onto our own proprietary network, so our prices dropped by 15%. Courtney doesn't miss a beat, calls the decision maker and gets him on the phone. And it was a slog, 2-year sales cycle over here, but Courtney every step of the way helping out. So this is like above and beyond, customer introductions. I'll add one more thing that I think has been like really instrumental for us. M13 puts up incredible events, and they give preference to portfolio companies, and they don't invite my competitors. So they put up a event for the beauty industry. They invited somebody, that talks about marketing, and they invited somebody that talks about logistics and internationalization. And it's just incredible for us, for my sales guys, to come to this event, not have competitors there, not have to pay for a booth, get special access, special coordination with the M13 team. It makes us look big. It makes us look awesome. We get so much pipeline out of those deals, and it raises our profile in the eyes of the market when things like that happen. And it's just been an incredible partnership. So really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Alex. We appreciate you coming to Montana with us and all the success in 2026.